Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The former Aston Villa striker Dalian Atkinson has died after a taser was fired at him by police in Shropshire. Officers were called to his father's home in Telford in the early hours of the morning after they were alerted about concerns for the safety of a man. The 48-year-old suffered a cardiac arrest as he was being taken to hospital. The Independent Police Complaints Commission is investigating the incident. Sian Lloyd reports now from the scene.
For more than 16 years, Dalian Atkinson was a household name in Premier League football. The striker played for a number of clubs, but is perhaps best known for his time at Aston Villa and this memorable performance against Wimbledon in 1992, earning him Match of the Day goal of the season. He was well known in this quiet cul-de-sac on the outskirts of Telford, where he frequently visited his father. Police arrived at his home at 1:30 this morning. Officers were responding to a call from someone concerned about a man's safety. West Mercia Police today confirmed that a taser had been used. 48-year-old Dalian Atkinson died 90 minutes after police were called to the house. Paramedics said he suffered a heart attack on his way to hospital. Paula Quinn lives in a flat overlooking the street. She told me what she saw happen.
Gentleman actually physically be tasered. I saw him hit the ground. I saw all the events after it.
She then went on to make this claim.
The police officers that were there, the only ones that were there, sort of scrambled in towards him and started kicking him around the body and shouting, and they were shouting and kicking it so much. That's all I can hear is the boots hitting him.
We haven't found anyone else who said they saw anything similar. The Independent Police Complaints Commission is carrying out a full investigation, it said, including any use of force. Dalian Atkinson's nephew arrived later this afternoon. He told us his uncle had recently been diagnosed with kidney problems and was undergoing dialysis. The family are trying to come to terms with what's happened.
It's inevitably angry, frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, overwhelmed.
What are the questions that are going around in your head today?
Because the damage is done, so you've got to try and develop preventatives through this. For example, that's why I say if as soon as they deploy a taser, you've got to deploy an ambulance.
Police tasers were first introduced in 2003 as an alternative to the use of lethal force. Since then, it's been found their use played a significant or material part in the deaths of 2 men. The Independent Police Complaints Commission says it's currently investigating 4 cases where a taser was used prior to death. What happened here will also be investigated by the police watchdog after the case was voluntarily referred by the West Mercia Force. It will be for an inquest to decide whether the taser played a significant part in the former footballer's death. Tonight, Dalian Atkinson's former teammate at Aston Villa paid him this tribute.
He's larger than life. He's one of the big characters at the football club when I was there. I got to the football club and Dalian was the one that stuck out first because he was a big personality, always had a lot to say, but he was a very funny guy as well.
Many questions are being asked about what happened last night. It will be many months before those questions are answered. Sian Lloyd, BBC News, Telford.
Striker who died after he was tasered by police say he'd been suffering from kidney problems and a weak heart. 48-year-old Dalian Atkinson suffered a cardiac arrest after he was hit by the stun gun early this morning. Medics were unable to revive him. The footballer's former colleagues described it as terribly sad news and said he would never be forgotten. From Telford, Paul McNamara has this report.
It's a goal that would go down in the history books. 1992, the first year of the Megabucks Premier League, and this would be its first ever goal of the season. Dalian Atkinson in his prime for Aston Villa. Today he died after being tasered by the police, aged just 48. This quiet street in Telford became a crime scene this morning. What apparently started as reports of a domestic disturbance ultimately ended in the death of a one-time sporting hero. Dalian was here visiting his 85-year-old father, Ernest. His dad reportedly told journalists that his son was agitated and upset, and he didn't know if Dalian was under the influence of drink or drugs. Police say the taser was fired at around 1:30 a.m. this morning, but West Midlands Ambulance Service say they didn't receive a call until about 1:45 a.m. His condition deteriorated en route to the hospital. He went into cardiac arrest and was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. So the questions now are, did it really take 15 minutes to call an ambulance? And if it did, why? A community in shock, a family devastated. His nephew Fabian believes the procedures surrounding tasering need to be reviewed.
So as soon as they deploy a taser, they need to deploy an ambulance. As soon as, it should be mandatory. Because how do they know I'm naturally putting volts through a body? How do they know they're going to survive that eventually, long run, if it's not going to need any medical attention?
Dalian Atkinson was a journeyman footballer, starting his career in Ipswich, then Sheffield Wednesday and a stint in Spain, before 4 glorious seasons at Aston Villa. This goal against Manchester United at Wembley helped secure Villa the League Cup in 1994. He then went on to Fenerbahce in Greece before ending his career in 2001 in the South Korean leagues. Today's tributes were led by former Aston Villa boss Ron Atkinson. He remembered a happy man and gifted footballer.
He always played football with a smile on his face. When I joined Villa, he was one of the first players I wanted to bring in. It's tragic.
And thousands paid their respects on social media. Former England star Sol Campbell tweeted,
"Very saddened by this news. Thoughts with friends and family."
And Villa hero and former teammate Paul McGrath tweeted,
"Don't feel too good at the moment. Dalian Atkinson was a huge part of the Villa family I played with. Lovely kid and friend. R.I.P. pal."
According to family, Dalian suffered with kidney problems in recent years and had been on dialysis. Today he was apparently meant to visit a specialist in Manchester. West Mercia Police have now handed this case to the Independent Police Complaints Commission, who have begun a full investigation. A post-mortem is due to be carried out later this week.
Paul McNamara, and later in the programme we'll be talking to former Liverpool star Howard Gale, who pays tribute to Dalian Atkinson and tells us why he's just turned down the offer of an MBE. Fresh. He made history as the first black footballer to play for Liverpool, but Howard Gale made headlines again this week when he turned down the MBE. Gale, who made his debut at Anfield in 1977, said accepting the honour would be a betrayal. I spoke to him earlier today and asked him first why he decided to turn down the offer.
I've always had this out-and-out thing in the back of my mind, and this thing about being uncomfortable about what empire and the establishment did with its role in Africa, with the slave trade. My father came from Africa, from Sierra Leone, and he came to this country and was part of the Merchant Navy during the war. My mother worked in the munitions factory in Kirby in Liverpool.
And yet, before turning down your own MBE, you were campaigning for Kenny Dalglish to get a knighthood because of the way he responded to Hillsborough.
Well, Kenny Dalglish again he's an absolute legend, and he's more deserving of a knighthood or an award than what I am. He went to 96 funerals, him and his wife. He was an avid supporter of Hillsborough. But again, at the same time, this was my decision. I had family members who were part of the slave trade. In fact, our name, Gale, is a slave owner's name. It was the name of a plantation.
Do you think that not enough has been done to right the wrongs of the past for black people living in Britain now?
Well, I don't, as I say, I don't think really that the slave trade and the atrocities that were carried out on the basis of Africans is really being addressed or explained. Again, I was brought up in a culture with the education system where Africa was portrayed as being poor, and everybody lives in a mud hut.
The honour was offered for your work with Show Racism, The Red Card. You've spoken before about the very ugly racism that you endured as a player on the pitch in the 70s. How far have we come?
I don't think that we have. Muslims seem to be the stick which everybody's using now to beat the world with. And I know a lot of Muslims. Again, I live amongst them in Liverpool. In fact, my older brother is a Muslim. And some of the comments aimed at Muslims and people who are underrepresented within this country is unfair.
We've seen that over the last few years the growth of the Black Lives Matter movement in America. It now seems to be gaining momentum here. Do you think that's a useful campaign?
We have to look at how we, well, the legacy that we leave for our children. And right now, again, the world is not a very good place to live in for our children. So anything that can save lives or avert any sort of civil unrest, and that is a place, again, I don't think that we as a country need to be going down that road again.
And can I just ask you, we've just heard this morning that Dalian Atkinson, the former Aston Villa footballer, has died, having been tasered by the police. You knew Mr. Atkinson.
Yeah, I'm deeply saddened for his family. I knew Dalian quite well. He was a top footballer. Haven't seen him for a number of years, so I don't know what state of mind he was in, but it's a sad day for him and his family. But it's also, again, a sad day for football.
Howard Gale, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I've been getting away with it all.